right. 88.5, you are live. Is this Brian?
Yes, sir.
Holy. I have to say, first of all, welcome to the Saturday Night Shutdown. This is Brian Knott, the founder and organizer of A3C.
Oh, man. Pleasure meeting you, Brian.
Brian.
We made a giant.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I'm flattered, man. Thank you.
No, we're flattered by the fact that you're actually calling into our show. It is one of those things that I've been corresponding with you via email for some time and hoping that you would call in. So I'm truly appreciative of the fact that you're calling into our show, because I have a number of people here that are going to be going to A3C in Atlanta, October 11th through the 13th, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. The idea that people are starting to come from, all over the country is something that we've started to notice over the last couple of years, and it's mind-blowing. I mean, when we started this thing, going back 8 years ago, I don't think we ever had an idea that it was going to catch the way that it did, and that folks were going to, bicycle, plane, automobile, bus trip.
By any means necessary.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's really, it's humbling in a lot of ways, and it's really exciting just to think about, where we came from 8 years ago, and hopefully where we're headed in the long run with this. So, it's humbling and it's exciting and it's all those kind of good things all rolled into one. But I appreciate the fact that anyone wants to talk to me on the radio or television or
believe me,
or whatever.
I tell people that I first heard about A3C because you had a Juice Crew reunion. That's the first time that I heard about it. And honestly, I didn't even pay attention to anything else at that time. When I first heard Juice Crew reunion in Atlanta, I'm like, that's 8 hours away. I'm going. I don't care. So I made it up there, and then all of a sudden I'm surprised by like the seminars, the people that are around there. Daryl Chill Mitchell was there, Plug 2 from De La Soul, Slop Funk Dust was actually walking around, who is originally from the Bay Area. Who else? Little Brother, and because there was somebody that rolled up there with me, they booked Little Brother to come down here and perform. So it was just one of those eye-opening events, and it was just like, okay, how long has this been going on, and why have I been missing it? I still got to enjoy a lot of the groups that were there, a lot of names that I did not know, and it was just surprising to me. And ever since then, I've been telling people in the area, you need to make it up there if you're really serious about your music. It's the largest hip-hop festival in the Southeast, and I've emphasized that to a lot of folks. And I have 4 people, I believe,
Concep is
that
the
are going.
Moses of this game. Brian, how you doing?
Don't even start that.
Yo, listen, Brian, real talk. I don't know if you know any other cities.
Real quick.
I apologize, Brian. I'm Gino Lexus. I'm probably like the loudest mouth in Tampa Bay, but I love my city. It's all love. It's all love. But one thing I gotta tell you, my man Concep's been putting me on this event for years, and I mean literally years. And I told him I'm gonna work on it. Finally got a camp. We decided we want to have a whole city of people to come and do this. So now we got an event page about your event. It's about 200 plus members on there. And I wanted to know if you know anybody that's ever done that for their city or anything like that.
It's cool, man. I think, it's funny because I had talked to the Sandman, right, who's down in your neck of the woods.
Yes, sir.
Had hit me up and, talking about Tampa. And, there are a lot of great little pockets all over the country that have these wonderful local scenes and that, that are real supportive of one another and everything like that. And we do... over the past couple of years, we've done different stuff where we've been able to kind of put our thumb on, somebody who's a more major artist from that region. Like this year, for example, with the Twista show, we're bringing, I think there are 8 or 9 cats that are from Chicago. Some who before we started talking about the show I'd never heard of before, and some folks, that are bigger. And we're doing that with the Chicago guys, the DMV guys. There's some folks. I think San Francisco we have a show. Where there are 8 or 9 guys from the Bay Area. I shouldn't say guys, 8 or 9 artists, because they're not all men. But it's these different, these different pockets in the country where you kind of dial in with somebody who's real in tune. They have a great scene. There's a lot of music coming out of it, and that's been a way for us to really kind of get out and network and stuff. So there are some, there's been talk about doing something with the Florida show in 2013, just off, on the strength of that buzz that we're starting to hear. So that's real cool.
Wait. With the Florida show, you mean like a A3C in Florida, or this is a new?
No, like an A3C, like doing a show that's built around artists that have that Florida backbone. And having that be part of a showcase that we're doing. Like we have, that Chicago pocket, the Detroit pocket.
Yeah.
All those folks doing shows that are under that model. Like Slum's coming in to do the Detroit show, and on that coattail of having Slum here, there's 8 or 9 different artists that are from Detroit that are performing all on one night on one stage.
So,
so for a lot of folks in the Southeast, that's like, they don't know what's going on in Detroit outside of those, 2 or 3 things that they're reading about in the magazine or seeing around. So it's cool.
That's pretty ill, man. With the Florida artists, let's say a couple of us, there's gonna be a lot of us going out there. Is there a chance that we would get a chance to perform if somebody is, that don't show that's actually scheduled? Like, and if that's possible, how would we go about trying to get more information about that?
Nah, no one's getting on stage that's not already booked to be on stage. I mean, that's at this stage of the game. We're always like at 110% booked because I'm a music head and I love music and I want to put so many people on that, between me and the other folks that are putting the show together, we're constantly just grabbing artists. And it's more for the last 3 weeks, it's like, all right, we've got, Mike, who's the artist director, I think it'll be like, come up and go, like, how much is this many, man? Like, where are we going to put these dudes? What are we doing? How's it going to fit? So it's like, there's just so much that by the time we get to this point, it's it's a lot about just trying to squeeze people into places and finding different things to do just to put everybody that we want to get on. So it's real hard. I mean, occasionally there's a set that opens up here or there. And the thing is, with the event, as it's grown over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of people doing offshoot events and side things. And, I think for us, it's not, we've never want to discourage people from, there's so many people that come into town for the weekend. If you keep your eyes and ears open, you could find something that may not be official, but there's more and more stuff like that that's going on.
This is Concept again. Basically, one of the things that I've been emphasizing to people that want to go up there and want to perform, I've told them, please, first attend and network at the show prior to trying to perform, because I basically have told people point blank, if I was an organizer and you want to just perform but you're not willing to come up here and network and be at least 1 year, I would just honestly, I would throw out their application. Right. You should perform first. I mean, you should network first and then maybe come back the next year and perform. The main thing is just getting a feel for what A3C is all about, because there's so many events surrounding it. Not only your own events, A3C's events, but all these other, outside events, that it's just one of those that I tell people it's kind of overwhelming. You will lose your mind because there's so many events going on that you just don't know where to go at times. And it's almost like a 24-hour, or no, in this case would be 72 hours of hip-hop heaven.
It's a festival,
yeah. Actually, this is Raheem Samad. Bring up your mic, Raheem. He's our DJ for the night, but he's also an artist. But he has been to A3C
twice already.
Twice?
Yeah, twice. And this will probably be my 3rd time this year.
and
I actually met you last year.
Oh, well, that's very cool, man.
Yeah, I had asked for an interview to get you. You hooked me up with an interview with, I think, Jean Grey.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. It's a good thing he was nice to him, right? He put you on blast.
Yeah, Jeannie's just like, man, it's a good woman right there.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
It's just, and he's one of these people that I basically hit over the head for maybe 3 years prior to that,
Brian,
the Concept does this. He does this.
Yeah, he's preached the gospel of A3C for years.
I've been pushing people, man. You just don't understand that I call it my exodus, my short run to Mecca.
Absolutely.
For the weekend. Don't bother me. I'm in hip hop heaven. And it's just everything that surrounds it. I mean, last year, you had one of the artists from the Bay Area, Laws, perform quite a few times, and one of his DJ is actually one of our resident DJs for the show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so definitely. Go ahead.
that's a talented cat, man. Like, that's one of my dudes that, and it's been a minute since there's been new music, but that's a guy who, you know, from our and to your point before, where you're talking about people coming up and trying to be like, you know, go that first time. It's that thing, like, someone once, you know, I'm pretty open with how people to find me personally. You know, like between I am the Twitter. Yes. You know, like there are a lot of other people who do it, but I'm the person who most of the time that's my voice, and I'm checking it. And you know, like when we do the Sonic Bid submission stuff and whatever, when someone gets a response from Sonic Bids that says you're playing or you're not playing, or Reverb Nation that says you're playing or you're not playing, it comes from me. I write it, and it comes from my mailbox. So, you know, afterwards someone could tell me to go kiss off, or they can tell me that they love me or whatever. But it's the point of, like, you know, just walking around and having someone say, like, I met you here at this point, puts them on my radar. And it's like it's that function of, like, you know, first for us to be looking for something, it's like you got to have that first inch of getting on that radar somehow, whether it's my radar or it's, you know, one of the other partners or someone else in the I mean, shoot, you know, we go back to, you talk about that 2008 year with the Juice Crew before, and it's like, you know, we had B.O.B. on that show.
Yes, sir.
Twice, so 2 different times. And I'd be very, very frank, man. Like, the first time I heard the B.O.B. record, like, I'm like, I don't get this. I'm like, I don't know. I don't get it. Right? Like, I'm sorry. I just don't get it.
It was too poppy.
Yeah, and it was with the Haters record, which it grew on me. But then there was an intern, literally like an intern from the University of Georgia, who was in my office like every day, and he's like, "Dude, your ears are old. Like, you have old ears. Like, that's why you don't get it." And I'm like, all right, I'll take your word for it. Whatever, you know, I'm good. We'll do this thing, whatever. And you know, so however many years later, clearly he's a lot smarter and has a lot better ears than I do, and whatever. But that's the kind of thing. Like, that's, you know, the intern in the office, you know, was hip to him, you know, from somebody else to whatever, and he was basically like saying, "Brian, come on, like, you got to do this." So it's that trying to make that contact with somebody on the staff to really, like, get into it and get behind and be an advocate for you as an artist that no one, you know, at that time, no one had ever heard of Bobby, and I, you know, hadn't either. And, you know, it was one of those things. And there's, you know, that's an extreme story. There's a lot more artists, you know, like a Godzilla out of D.C. is a great example that came in, I think, in 2009. And they came in, they gave, you know, a mixtape to Ninth Wonder, you know, out on the street walking around when we were down in the village.
When you did it in the village, in the East Atlanta Village. Yeah,
and they're walking around and they hand Ninth the record. And, you know, Ninth has been a supporter and a huge, you know, just a huge, you know, advocate for A3C since 2006, I think was the first time he came, when we were real small. And Ninth is like, "Yo, did you listen to this? Did you know these guys?" And I'm like, I don't know. You know, tell me what do I need to know? And so it was one of those things where it's that getting here and kind of stirring yourself into that pot. Then as we're seeing your name coming forward after that, we're starting to hear it. It's like, oh, I've heard that before. That deserves that extra listen.
Right.
You know, and it's that process, to your point.
And it's one of the things talking about A3C with Brian Knott from A3C. One of the things that I mentioned to people, especially when you were at East Atlanta Village, and even now that you're at Masquerades over in Atlanta, the fact is that many of these artists are walking around. You know, they're not, you know, security down. You know, you gotta talk to their manager. Some of them are so cool that they will give you their own personal number right there from the jump. You know, and that makes it so great. You know, even last year I got to see Big Daddy Kane, but then I think it was last year also that Artifacts reunited on stage, and they were just talking about it, and they were just so happy. You know, all these artists just walking around, you know, you could just talk to them, and most of them are very humble. You know, the majority of them are very humble, very down to earth, and they're willing to talk to you. And, you know, kind of, you know, like what you said earlier, it's like they're surprised sometimes that anybody wants to talk to them. But it's like, for us, we've seen them on videos. They've done all these things, and it's like, you're going to be in the area. We can talk to you. We can get your number. We can possibly collaborate with you.
Yeah. Well, for us, we're not a big money festival. Like there's not. It's just not the way we grew out of this really tall. Sort of like two dudes going, let's have a bunch of groups come to Atlanta for a weekend, sort of thing. So we've always kept that mentality, and we've always run the business that way. And it's like when we reach out to an artist, it's like one of those things where we kind of put out like what the A3C is first. And it's like, this is what we are, this is what we're doing. We want to be just this gathering place for people that love hip-hop. And you're not going to make festival one-off money to be here. Like, it just ain't never going to happen. That's just not, we don't have it. And we know you could earn more coming in and doing a one-off show. So it's like, the dudes who come get it because they're not doing it for a paycheck. They're doing it because they understand what A3C is about and what the deal is. And I think because of that, it sort of translates to them being out and willing to be among the crowd a lot more. Plus, we, at the beginning, like literally, we couldn't afford to have any, like any big spread backstage or fill any rider or do anything else like that. So we just didn't have a backstage area, in the early days. And it just forced the dudes to come out because there was no, and there still isn't. Every year someone goes through and they're like, we want to come in and bring in a VIP tent and do this, that, and you're like, like, whatever. I don't want to have, there aren't no VIP. Like, I don't want to have a VIP.
That's awesome.
It's like, because I don't want to separate. One of my favorite things in the world is the couple years ago, there was, Big Pooh was doing a show outside on one of the outdoor stages. And, most of my A3C experience is dealing with problems. So, like, I get to watch everything and enjoy everything on the video that goes out afterwards. So, like, I'm the dude who's scouring YouTube going, shoot, I can get to see this set. I want to check this out, see who's got camera phone pictures of this or whatever. So I go back and I find there's some pictures of Big Pooh set. Someone's got like a camera phone video, on YouTube, a Big Pooh set. And I'm looking at it, and Sean Price is literally in front of the dude with the camera phone with his iPad filming it, but he's in the guy's camera phone shot like the whole time, and he's just wilding out to Big Pooh set. And I'm like, and I'm watching it thinking to myself, like, that didn't happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a uniquely A3C thing that there are artists, you look through this thing, you throw a panel and you sit there, you look out and like Red Alert sit next to Diamond D, sit next to Ninth Wonder.
Right.
In the Rain demo, at A3C. Like among, all the basement producers and the guys trying to get their first beat picked up, and those guys are not behind the boards, they're sitting in the crowd, hanging out. And, that's kind of, we want to keep that culture. That's been the thing for us that's been like the hardest struggle is as you get bigger exponentially, going from, 600 people a night in the early days to 15,000 plus. And I think this year, we're in Masquerade, but we're also in, I think, 6 other venues.
Yes, you are. And you've added a film festival to this year.
Yeah. Well, and it's because there's not. I mean, it's one of those things where you look at things and you say, like, what? There's a void, right, in our culture in a lot of ways. Like
yes,
there isn't an event like this, and I think that's why we've been able to be as successful as we have as quickly because people have really said, "Man, this is cool," and no one else is doing this.
Right.
And so it's like there is no. In Atlanta years ago, there was this Atlanta Hip Hop Film Festival, and then it just sort of lost support and it died. And it was like for us now with the contacts and the connects and the great sort of like underground short filmmakers and video makers and stuff that are out there that are so supporting this, we're like, we got to figure out a way to start down this road, and if people want it, they'll support it, and that aspect of what we're doing is going to grow. But we've got to like try this, we've got to put that effort forward on the film. We've done it, we saw it with some of the pro audio stuff that we do and some of the things that are more driven towards, with the needle to the record DJ battle, for example, with the wax battle. And it's like, there's not a lot outside of the DMC circuit that's in that. And it's something that we do that's a small subset of A3C, but it's an important part of the culture. And it's like people support it and they want to see it. And it's, we have the B-Boy, the the B-boy battle that happens on Saturday afternoon every year. And it's like, that has grown for us year over year. And it's like, it's an important part of the culture and people support it. And it's not, it's not the hugest part of the A3C.
It's one of the many components is what I like to say.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing for us is trying to put together, all these different things that appeal to, I always refer to it as kind of painting hip hop with the broadest possible brushstroke. And like there was a big cry years ago where people would say, we want more balance, we want more balance, we want more balance. And like really they were saying like, I want to be put on instead of that guy over there. Like that's what I want. To me, that's balance. And that's what I kept hearing. And instead, like to me, balance is saying like, all right, I'm going to paint this with I want gunplay on over here and I want Count Bass D on over here at the same show. I want that's balance to me. Right. Like I want to go see a show and see, a Chino XL and a Sky Zoo, and a Raekwon and maybe a Future or 2 Chainz. Like all molded into the same pot. I want to see women and black people and white people and Hispanic people all on stage rapping over the course of the weekend. It's like. And have that be, really get out there and say, this is, the hip-hop looks a lot of different ways, and I'll tell you, man, I'm a white dude who lives in the suburbs with 3 kids and a Labrador Retriever. Like,
yeah, congratulations on your latest.
Yeah, no, I'm up late because I have an 8-week-old son, my second son, my third child, so this is, I'm in between feeding times now.
Brian,
yeah.
As the festival gets bigger and gets more publicity, will you allow like more commercial artists to come and perform, or will you kind of like keep it?
Will you hold a line?
Right.
I think for us, we want to keep moving. I mean, we want to move forward. So sure, I think that there'll be more commercial artists, and there have been. I mean, there are more big artists each year kind of exponentially from the beginning until now.
Yeah.
But we look at it as a way to open up the more commercial artists that we put on, the greater our audience grows. Subsequently, the greater number of venues, the greater number of shows we can be in, and the greater number of other artists we can carry along on that trail. So, it's like one of those things when I'm answering people and I think there either 1,000 or more submissions from unsigned artists that we never heard of that had come through one of the 2 portals that had come in, and so we let a lot of those folks know that they're not playing at the beginning of September, and then for like 3 weeks, my life is basically talking to all those people to kind of like talk them off the ledge and explain what the deal is, why they're not playing, and some people just are like, I hate you now, and here's my middle finger, and go kiss it. So,
and of course, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and which I respect. But then a lot of the people are like, why? And yeah, I'm like, because there's, at the end of the day, there's really like 35 slots, right. And we listen to stuff, and everybody in the office listens to stuff, and we all like. There's probably 120 of y'all that we really like, and we got to cram you into 30 spaces, and I don't want to put somebody on at 6:55 in the afternoon in a record store when nobody's going to be there, because that sucks for you. It sucks for the record store. It sucks for the fans that aren't going to be there. Like, we want to create opportunities to be on shows that people care about, so that there's a good vibe for that person who we want to be invested in that person. It's like once we've seen an artist and we want to put them on stage, we don't want to just throw people at the wall. Like I've been to CMJ, not to bust on CMJ or to bust on South by Southwest at all, but I've been to official showcases at both of those events where there's like 8 and 9 people.
Right, it's empty. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, why? Why dude? Why poor dude stuff all of his stuff into the Honda Accord and drive from Ames, Iowa to rap in New York?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You're sitting there, you're going, man, that sucks. Like,
yeah.
When you walk away, it's like, I played CMJ, okay, so what? Was it a great experience? Was it something that was good? So I think that's the thing with A3C is as we kind of grow, it's like, can we create opportunities for folks that are good quality opportunities? So I think bringing along the additional headline. It's like that thing, you know, when someone came to me and they said, like, okay, we have a Chicago show, and I'm like, these are great artists, but how do we make somebody care? You know,
Right.
what's the hook that brings this person, brings it together? And we're like, okay, so we have Twist, we have GLC, we have now there are 4 or 5 exciting Chicago things that are going to put people in that room, and then they're going to see those other 5 artists and maybe walk away with a new favorite artist.
Right.
You know, and be like, wow, I never heard of where'd this guy come from? You know, and that's like hearing that over and over and seeing that through the blogs and the Twitters. And, you know, I love that. The first time I saw you was at A3C. You know, like every time I see that like tickles me to death. You know, and there's so many people like, I met you for the first time. I saw you for the first time. You know, all that kind of stuff. That to me is like, that's the gold in this whole. I mean, and I love the fact that, you know, obviously, you know, the bigger artists that we have are exciting, and I'm a fan. I mean, part of this thing is to get to play Fanboy, you know, to
Of course.
Yeah,
stand
absolutely.
backstage with Big Daddy Kane and Rakim and, you know, Biz Markie and Marlon Morrow and, you know, all those things that, you know, as a kid, those are the records that I was like in love with, and so that's cool. But then the secondary factor of it is, you know, the younger kid aspect of it, to see the 18, 19, 20-somethings who are just making their first records and their first music kind of get that first shine is, you know, that's equally gratifying.
Absolutely.
Very, very true, because, I mean, one of the things that I tell people, and I already mentioned it, is just walking around talking to these people. I sometimes don't even bother talking to them at length. I just kind of give them a pound and say, thank you for everything that you've done musically. Thank you for your gifts, you know, and I appreciate you being here at A3C. You know, the fact is that we Brian, to you, we appreciate you for continuing the legacy of A3C. You know, I hope that it continues to grow, and it's at the same time kind of keeping it within the parameters that you originally envisioned, you know, you and whoever else is part of your crew. The fact that you've added a film festival to it, you know, is also appreciated, because like some of the guys here, Kendrell, who's show assistant and co-host, and Raheem Samad,
sir.
who is actually also spinning for us. He's our guest DJ for today. They both have pages with interviews from A3C.
Absolutely.
What is yours, Raheem? What is the name?
Righteous Disorder. YouTube.com, Righteous Disorder. Yeah, I got interviews with like Ninth Wonder and Amir's performance, and interview with the Beat Miners. A lot.
Exactly.
A lot.
No, and that's the kind of stuff, like, from my standpoint, I love to be able to link back and put things through with the A3C. The A3C website's been built out in a blog format for a couple of years, so that we can, you know, it's that reciprocal process. It's saying, like, you know, we have a completely open camera policy at A3C, and always have. And it's like, because it's that aspect of this culture, is having people shoot that video footage and then come back to us and say, you know, here, this is great. Like, you are. I sent a tweet out the other day, and I was like, yo, go tell a friend, because literally that's our marketing plan. Like, our marketing budget doesn't exist, because our whole marketing budget is do a good job, and all the people who love this thing will go tell other people. Like, and that's how we work it, and it's crazy that the growth on I mean, I think we buy an ad in the local Free Weekly for, like, you know, and it's a partnership deal. I think we pay like you know, not to talk out of school. I'm sure they'll be all mad that I'm saying this. I'm probably breaking 10 laws by telling what the deal is, but it's like $1,000. Like, we spend $1,000 on marketing the A3C, you know, and everything else really goes into, you know, let's create the best possible thing we can, and then trust the fact that people will love it and go tell someone else that they love it, and then try to bring those people into the fold, you know, or someone will shoot some camera phone footage, or someone will get out there with their, you know, their deal and interview somebody that we can then put out and send someplace else, and, you know, continue to kind of grow that network, you know, of folks that are in the loop. So it's working, and it's really, I mean, it's amazing. It's a study in this whole social media, you know, climate. You know, it's an amazing sort of thing, because we really are a byproduct of, you know, people's just, you know, willingness to get out there and say, you know, I support this, so I want you to be turned on to it too.
I wanted to give you real quickly Kendrell's basically show assistant and co-host, his couple of pages. It's Edge TV 813 This is YouTube pages, and Shut It Down TV is also one of the pages that he's posted videos from A3C. What is your Twitter account if people want to get a hold of you or follow you, obviously, on Twitter?
We're /A3C.
Okay.
So we've been there that early.
Okay, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
It is. And then, I mean, the Facebook's just /A3C Festival.
Exactly.
And you know, shoot, man, my email address is brian@a3chiphop.com. So, I mean, I literally, like, right now it's probably going to be a minute before you get an email back.
It's understood, believe me.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's, we're in the deep. But, you know, all that being said, you know, I try to get back to everything. I try to listen to every record that people give us. You know, at some point or another, get around to listening to a lot. I listen to more bad music than any person in America.
Oh, believe
I'm
me.
certain of the fact that, but I relish those gems that come. You know, and that's sort of the digger's mentality. But you know,
it's finding the diamonds in the rough. You know, just to plainly put it, because the fact is that here in the area, you know, there's quite a few groups that are, you know, once in a while it's like, who? And then I hear the song and one of the DJs brings it to my attention, or, you know, it's just brought to everybody's attention. It's like, wow. You know, one of our guests here is Gino Lexus, and, you know, he's been, you know, working on a number of things, and he's just put out a project which, you know, we're doing a takeover for the show. And I just have to mention real quickly, WMNF Tampa, WMNF.org. Brian, I am truly humbled by the fact that you're calling in. These people just don't understand that it's like, I've been pursuing you.
He's been pursuing it, bro.
You know,
telling us all week about it.
Well, I've been hoping, you know, it's like, look, I'm going to try, because on our group page, which was set up by Alfie Santana from FLOHIO crew, I actually put up a post saying, if you had a chance to interview the main organizer of A3C Festival, what would you ask him? And there's something like 20 questions on here right now, and I think it's going to blow up. And I'm going to try to add you.
He asked none of them. None of them.
Hey, I got mine in.
Out the window.
I got mine in. I got my question in.
Yeah.
He had to come to do it.
Yeah, that's
No, I'm
funny.
just kidding.
No, but I'm going to try to add you to the group. Hopefully you allow that on your page, and maybe you can answer these, or I can send them to you, and maybe in due time you can answer them. Because most of these people that are asking the questions are people that will be attending the show, you know, the festival.
You know, I tell you what, there are so many answers to be had just by showing up. I mean, it is.
I've been telling people that. Once you make it there, you will be truly humbled, and you will come back going, I love A3C! I love that!
Since 2008, he's been doing it.
Well, but we tease all the time that, like, you know, sometimes I think people have this concept that there's a huge machine behind this event, and it's like, when you pull the curtain back, the Wizard ain't that big. Like, it really, literally is a bunch of people who are, you know, fans first. One of my partners was a DJ in an ill-fated group, you know, years ago, but, you know, most of us are just heads, and we love it, and we do it because we love it.
What gave you the idea to do it?
But to be very frank, like, literally, I owned a small record label in Atlanta called ATF Records from 2001 to 2007. And we put out, you know, like, just gritty, underground, you know, 2 DJ, 1 MC, rapidy records.
Like Sign?
It's very similar to how Sign actually played one of the early festivals. But the way that we got our groups out on the road was we'd call people in other towns, and we were like, yo, we like you, you know, why don't, you know, you bring our guys to your city, and we'll bring you here. And that's how we met the Sign guys. We met the Asimov guys out of Jacksonville, Soliloquist Sound out of Orlando.
Okay.
Kazi, he was one of the early guys out of Carolina. You know, and all these people eventually, you know, led to one degree to another degree to somebody else. But so we were like, yo, come, you know, let our guys come to your city, and then we'll bring you to Atlanta. Well, we were really good at that pitch, and, like, our guys were gone all the time. So if the guys are gone all the time, it means they don't ever play in Atlanta, and you owe a bunch of people a bunch of favors. Right?
Yeah.
So, hence the A3C #1 was 30 groups that we owed a favor to, that had brought, you know, one of our groups, you know, to their specific city. And they came in, and like at the time, our groups in Atlanta were, you know, there were solid local groups, and they do, you know, 250, 300 people a night if they were playing in town. And we threw this first A3C in like a 1,200 cap, you know, 2 rooms, 1 stage, and then a back. You know, the second stage at the time was a back closet with a DJ booth, and and literally there were like 600 to 800 people a night for groups that normally, you know, would pull 250 and a bunch of groups from out of town that no one had ever heard of. And, you know, like we're sitting there in this thing going, holy cow, something actually just happened. You know, I'm not sure what it was, but this is something that's special. And from that point forward, we started to kind of tweak it and kind of grow it, you know, to that point where I think we went from, you know, 2 stages that year to like 3 stages the next year. And then, you know, in 2007, we were a little bit bigger, and we did Souls, and I think we had Black Milk and a couple groups like that. And then the next year was the year we did the Juice Crew Union, because we happened to hit that one, like, right on with the relationship, right in the right point. And it was right for those dudes to get back together and do something. And that was really what shot us, was that year in 2008. From there, it just went, you know, exponentially every year after that. It was kind of like, you know, more and more and more and more and more. But, you know, it literally was the fact that we screwed up and we owed a bunch of people favors. We're trying to figure out a good way to make good on it. And that's like the true story ever. Look at each other going, we are going to be those guys who told people we were going to bring them to the city and never did. You know, and like, it's been, some of these dudes, it's been like 9 months, and they're like, you know, when am I going to come to Atlanta? Like, I brought your dudes here. We did the show, and it was good, and whatever. When am I coming? And we're like, okay, how about you come for this festival we're going to throw? It's huge. It's going to be huge, man. It's going to be huge.
I can tell you this much. I am truly glad that you guys actually moved it over to the Masquerade, because I think it was Center Stage was where in 08 for the Juice Crew, and then you did it at East Atlanta Village after that. And as much as I loved the festival, I hated that whole setup, because it was just, it killed me that there was like some places that only handled like 100 people, and like one of the groups that I wanted to see was People Under the Stairs. And it was one of those that it's like one person in, one person out, one person in, one person out. And for me, was walking behind the spot where Rakim actually performed, and I still remember hearing somebody that was at the back door and said, if you let one more MNFing person up in this building, they will shut us down. And I walked towards the front of the building, and it was like, hey, that was you? Look at that. Hey, you had to handle business.
Wow.
But
No, that's literally, like, I literally remember saying that. No, I had a radio that night, right? And that is so funny, because that night Rakim hit the stage in one room. People Under the Stairs hit a stage in another room, and then Red Bull was doing a thing with Primo.
Yeah, that's where I ended up at.
Yeah, not Battle Cat, whatever. And I'm walking, because I'm walking out of the room that Rakim's in, and the radio goes off, and they're like, the room is full. They've called the fire marshal. The room is way full, man. The room is full. And I'm walking up the street in the Village, and I'm walking past the People Under the Stairs thing, and the guy's working the door there. It's like, dude, we can't get another body in here. And I walk, like, you remember that year, there was like, you know, and then every single building hit capacity, like, at the same time.
It
did.
The
radio just popped off. And I was sitting there, and I'm going, wow, this is a really good problem.
Yeah, it is a good problem, but
this is a problem, but this is a really good problem.
But you don't want to be shut down in that kind of fashion.
Yeah, no, and you know, God bless us. We didn't, you know, no one got hurt, nothing bad happened, and all the shows went off, and but it was that realization where we sat there going, wow, we need a hub that is just amorphous and can be as big as we need it to be. And that's the thing too. But even last year, you know, with the Crit show and Kane and everything else like that, it was one of those things where we were at that point where we were looking at it and going, okay, now it's time to get bigger. This fits, but it's, you know, like, we're a little fatter, and it's starting to just like my pants, you know, where they're just like, I'm not a 36 anymore. You know, like, I gotta get 2 more inches on the waist.
There you go.
And then we've added some venues, and it's tough, because there are things like, you know, the Jizza shows in a smaller room, the Dungeon Family reunions in a smaller room. So some people are going to have an absolutely unbelievable experience, because they're going to see shows like that in a 200 cap room, you know, like, And some people aren't going to see it, but I think the benefit and the big difference for us is while that's happening, you could be at Masquerade and see Raekwon still. Which we didn't have that before.
Exactly. Actually, Jizz is performing here that Wednesday, and he's then going to be, performing up there. And people are like, yo, you're not going to the Jizz show? I'm like, don't worry. I am going to see him and a ton of people.
Jizz might even be in the Tampa Caravan when we make it up there.
Yeah, true. There's what, like maybe 10 cars rolling up there at the same time? Almost,
sir.
As of right now. Mm-hmm. And quite a few more. So, Brian, I'd love to keep you on the rest of the show. I could talk to you. No, I'm serious. I could talk to you for hours, but we could, but it's like, we've got to play some music. If you're willing to come back, if you're willing to come back, and have you on in maybe like around 2:00 in the morning, we'd love to have you back on.
No.
If you're awake and you're conscious, you can listen to us at WMNF.org and hit the listen tab or the listen button, and you can listen to us in various forms. If you got an app, it'll tell you also how to get the app. Also, if you don't have a smartphone, which I know you got to have one, but just in case you don't, there's a number that you can call. You will see on that page and listen to the show. I always tell people here on the air that, if you remember Living Color, you had LaWanda on the show. I always tell people, we got you. We can stream. You can listen via your app. You can listen through your radio. There's various formats, or any way we can get you. So if you want, we would appreciate if you listen to the show. You can see what we're all about. We're once a week, 3 hours. This is public broadcasting. It's a listener-sponsored, community-sponsored radio station. Next week we're having our marathon, and it's one of those things that, we have to come to the community because we don't play commercials. This is a nonprofit radio station, and this is one of the largest in the Southeast. This is actually one of those that people hold up high and say, if we're going to do this, we need to look at, WMNF, and there's quite a few other ones. I know you guys have a couple up there.
WRFG is our local. I mean, they play all the good records.
Exactly.
Right?
So, believe me, I jokingly tell people when when I give them the schedule, I tell them, if you got a secret hankering for polka or bluegrass, this is the station for you.
My wife's always funny. She's like, why are you doing an interview at 12:30 in the morning? I'm like, because that's where all the A3C fans are, baby. I'm like, because they're not on Hot Night and they're not on Hot 107.
Nope.
That's not where the A3C fans are.
No,
8:30 in the morning, they're watching Adult Swim.
There you go. Thank you. Robot chicken. No, but
I'm not saying nothing, but whatever. They're just whatever. But that's where all the A3C has.
We keep it very grown. We try to play a lot of. Your playlist influences a lot of my guys. I wish I could have DJ Ritz on here and DJ all of a sudden DJ Silent Rage. He is actually Laws' DJ. He plays a lot of the groups that you actually have put on the show, and
I do too.
Well, yes, you do. Excuse me.
Raheem Samad.
Raheem Samad being one of our guest DJs, and the fact is that, we truly appreciate what you're doing, what you continue to do. Yeah, I got you. They're giving me the signal. It's like, yo, wrap it up.
Wrap it up, B.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the time and looking forward to seeing y'all in a couple weeks.
Definitely. We definitely look forward to meeting you. Anybody.
Hey, Brian, it's your boy Gino Lexus. FLOHIO Records will be there. We're the ones that did that event page. We're going to be there. I'm just speechless.
You'll know.
Thank you for calling us.
You'll know.
When you meet him, you will know Gino Lexus and the whole FLOHIO team.
No, but seriously, man, all jokes aside, we're gonna be there because we're really serious about what we do. We appreciate what you do, and we're gonna be here to, be a good representation for what we do out here. So
thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I'm not a hard dude to find on site.
I know you're gonna be on the mic telling people no more room.
Yeah. No more every room.
Yeah, I'll be limping with a radio by Saturday morning.
Gotcha.
So that'll be me.
Hey, that's real talk. We appreciate you calling this late, and we are the hip hop fans, man. So I'm out. Done. We're gonna play music, people.
Yeah, do your thing. Thanks, y'all.
All right, man. Thank you, and have yourself a good night.